Good morning, everybody. Natalie Cummins Live, Spirit and Coffee. Got my coffee here. hmm Yum. So good. Mm. I don't know if you guys ever do this with the spoon, but sometimes I do, and then I slurp it up. In other parts of the country, that's seen as a thank you, or it's so good. Okay. Let's get started. Okay, so I'm a little bit late. I do apologize. I had committed to somebody being here on 7, and I totally spaced it out because a lot happened yesterday. A lot of crazy, weird energy going on, at least in my world. Don't know what's going on in your world, but you're definitely welcome to share what is going on in your world and what is happening. And I do want to share a story of the ego rising, the ego sort of surfacing during this time, the old programming sort of holding on to us. Good morning, Auntie Christine. Now, I am not one to cuss very often, um, but I'm human, and there are certain things that trigger me into a frenzy and pretty quickly. And yesterday, something triggered me, okay? And so I think we're going to just see more of these triggers and these things popping up as time progresses. Why? Because, oh, good morning, Jonathan. How are you? Because as time progresses, we're sort of dealing with what we call in leadership grungies, but are the things that really just trigger us. And by trigger, I mean they don't give us a good sensation, right? They're not really the fuzzy, warm feelings of love. Rather, they're emotions of frustration, anger, and attack. And so yesterday, totally went off the deep end. Okay. Good morning, Jose. And it was really strange because, it's not me. I know that I'm loved, just like everybody on this platform, and everybody in the world is love. And I always tell you, circle back to God. But there are times when the ego creeps in and the ego magnifies and the ego has to be right about something. And so I did something that was really crazy, right? And so I got into this big, magnificent, huge fight with a family member. Now, typically, typically, don't do that. I typically don't do that. However, because all of the energy is starting to heighten, things are starting to peak. Now, we talk about peaks, like if you were looking at the virus, right, they talk about peaking out. We also peak out in our emotion. Okay. So your emotions we're trying to, like they say, flatten the curve. And I think people are starting to understand what it means statistically. What does flatten the curve even mean? Statistically, it's statistics, right? It's statistics, it's mathematics, and that's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to take mathematics and do what they would do like this, the curve, and they're trying to flatten it out. Well, the same is real with our emotions. We generally try to flatten the curve of our outlashes of anger, frustration, and whatnot. Okay. Sometimes that doesn't work. And when it gets to the peak, or when you get to the peak of your frustration and anger, good morning, Doreen, you lash out. That's typically what happens with most people, especially when they hold in those emotions of frustration and anger for so long. Good morning, Tony. So yesterday I had a big blowout with somebody. And if you would have seen me, you would have been like, that is not Natalie. Well, it's part of who I am. But is it who I truly am? No. So what did I do? I had to forgive myself. I had to ask for forgiveness, and I had to say, I'm sorry. What is going on with me? I'm going kooky. Okay. Now, in your life, because you are human and you too get frustrated, is to look at those places that you haven't dealt with yet, allowing yourself to allow them to come up and out, right? Because it'll be like a volcano, just erupted and explodes. And we tend to say things that we don't mean in those times. We tend to engage with people in ways that we don't mean to. We behave in ways that we're like, what? This isn't me. What is going on? Right? And it happens. Why? It happens because we don't allow ourselves to deal with the emotion right away. Or we don't know how to sit down and have meaningful conversations with people and say, look, we need to talk. Let's have a conversation. Typically doesn't go down that way. When two people are very heated, they tend to just throw fire with fire, and that never wins. Okay. And yesterday I wasn't willing to back down my fire energy whatsoever. I was like, I'm gonna keep on igniting the fire. Someone had to cave in, and I was like, oh, not gonna be me, right? So had a lot of good morning, Ritu, a lot of built up frustration, I guess. And also, I think a lot of feeling. I think the biggest thing for me was I'm going to talk from my perspective, and I'm doing this because I want you guys to understand that this process that we're going through, we're sort of going to go through a death of an old structure, right? And in anything that we're letting go of, any change that happens, we have to go through what's called a death, where we mourn the old. Now, I'm not talking death, yes, in human beings as well, and animals and stuff like that. But I'm talking about like death of an idea, death of a concept, death of a mindset, death of a paradigm. We are shifting into something totally new in the transition between this stage of where we are into the next era. There is going to be a mourning, there's a death of an old era. So to let go of, to release it, right, is going to be not so easy. In the release of that, it's releasing our old programming as well, and our old programming, and putting to death the things that we thought we understood and knew. We put it to rest. That's part of the process in this planet, is life and death. But death doesn't just happen at the physical level. Good morning, Mike. Okay. Death happens at where? At all levels. Okay. At all things. And we're putting to rest a different way of being. And in that, we are going to see the surface of people behaving in different ways to this particular situation. Some people, when it comes to death, they go very silent and quiet and don't say anything. They sort of freeze and people are like, well, why aren't they crying? Why aren't they upset? Why aren't they? Because they're dealing with it internally in a different way. So how each individual is going to deal with this situation, okay? Yes, talking about a metaphor. Yeah. How each people put to rest this particular era or this particular situation is going to vary amongst different people. There's going to be good, there's going to be bad, there's going to be ugly, right? And internally inside of us, we have emotions that we are dealing with, especially me, right? We all are. So there's certain things that will surface and arise. How you deal with those things, critical. It's important right now. And are you forgiving yourself and asking for forgiveness, right? In the midst of it all, things are going to get heightened, okay? Families and situations will get heightened. Some families will start to fight. Some families will, so there's a lot going on. Like I said, I live in my bubble, so I don't know what's going on in the rest of the world. I did hear from a friend of mine, good morning, Feifei, that there was a person who, apparently domestic violence is going up. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if you guys have heard that. Please chime in and let me know what you're hearing about people. And he said that he witnessed the neighbor trying to run over the husband. And I said, well, why is this happening? Why is this occurring? Well, because, okay, first of all, people that were married, okay, didn't really spend time together, most, okay? I'm not going to say all, but they were busy at work most of the day. So they really didn't deal with each other, right? Everybody was working, everybody was moving. There was a lot to do. If you got into a fight, you separated, you went to your friends, you did whatever you needed to do to get away from the situation. Right now, people are not able to get away from their situations. Where are they going to go? Target, Walmart, Sprouts? There's nowhere to go. You could go to the great outdoors and run. Most people haven't been programmed to exercise and work out because they did never had time, right? In their mind, they never had time to work out. So a lot of people don't understand how to utilize and redirect the negative, or I don't want to say negative emotions, but the emotions that are uncomfortable, the ones that want you to harm people, the emotions that bring out the ego side of you. They don't know how to redirect that energy. And so now you have people who are putting it in other people, or harming other people, or trying to harm other people, or they're going crazy. Okay. Or there's not an escape. Hello, Katie. And if there's not an escape, right? If there's no escape for them, if they don't know where to go, what do? They lash out on the single most first thing that's there, right? How are you guys doing in your household? Is there a level of frustration showing up for you? Anybody? We'll wait while the crickets go. I wish I had cricket noises. I probably do on my podcast, my Podbean, but Facebook Live I don't. Okay, so dealing with these situations. So I'll wait. Hopefully you guys will share. Sometimes my Facebook Messenger or the live feed is a little bit too slow, so I do apologize for that if I don't read. Good morning, Renee. If I don't read the messages, I apologize. Okay, so we deal with these emotions and we let them go. Now, the biggest thing is, how do we have forgiveness in these situations? Because that's really what's needed, and compassion. So yesterday, and I'm going to talk about myself, and you guys are more than please chime in if you choose to. Was the fact that I felt like there was no compassion, right? I felt like there was no compassion. That's what I felt. And I got very hurt by that. And rather than saying, it hurts me that you don't have compassion for what I'm going through, right? And what I was going through, I am from France. I am here to improve my English. And I like, oh, good. I'm glad you're here to improve your English. Hopefully, what I have to say will help you. Sefer. Good morning, Sefer. Um, And instead of communicating those things, instead of saying, "This is how I feel," I just got triggered and started matching the energy of whatever energy was being thrown at me. It wasn't a loving, kind energy. And the reason I was upset, the reason that I was hurt was because I had just experienced my mom go through, I thought she was dead, okay? And I don't know, I mean, I can't even fathom or imagine, what that would look like for me, right? And in that moment, I was freaked out. Good morning, Allison, because I thought I was going to have to do CPR on my mother. She was stiff. She was turning purple. I mean, I don't even know how to describe the feeling that came up for me, right? Because for those of you who have been lost their parents or anything like that, I don't know what that's like, okay? And for me to be in that situation was very scary, okay? It was scary for me because I'm very close to my mother. Now, on the other spectrum, I have a family member. We're going through all this stuff. We're in quarantine. My mom does this thing. Then I have another family member. And so I'm telling you the intricacies of my family because I want to tell you that everything is starting to unfold and unveil, even in my own life, right? And how I deal with it is critical. Like, I'm supporting you guys, hopefully, in how to deal with these situations that arise and pop up, because they're going to, because that's what's happening right now. Things are getting reprogrammed. Now, there was a feeling of no, there was no feeling of compassion from my sister, right? Is what I felt. Okay. I love you too, Tony. I'm glad you're working from home. Me too. I work from home. I sort of love it as well. It is an indescribable feeling to lose a parent, to witness the death. I lost my dad and found him deceased. Oh, I'm so sorry, Doreen. So sorry. I I couldn't even. I don't even know. I think I would have lost my shit. Seriously. Excuse my language, people, but going through that during this time of quarantine, number one. Then number two, having a family member not have any kind of compassion towards that, just like, oh wow, and then talk crap to me after that just triggered me, right? It triggered me. Something inside of me was not, I was like, no, you weren't here. You didn't have to go through what I went through. And instead of being compassionate, I'm getting reprimanded. Like, I don't get it. Don't. So for me, what happened was there was this internal ignite. It ignited my fire to want to attack. And I did, right? With words. And in the attack and during the time that I was doing it, I knew that it wasn't right, but the ego totally just took the reins, right? The ego took over and I let it. Was that immature of me? Absolutely. Was that childish of me? Absolutely. Was I aware? Yes. Did I let it continue? Yes. And then afterwards, I'm like, what are you doing? Right? It's the awareness. Now, we're all going to deal with our emotions the way we deal with them. So, if you guys have a tantrum during this whole time, don't beat yourself up for having a tantrum. Okay. If you guys go off the deep end and get a little cray cray when you're going through this process, don't beat yourself up over it. But I'm going to say, don't stay there. Good morning, Suze. Good morning, Pradawan. Pradawan? Pradawan? Sorry, I'm probably saying that wrong. I apologize. Good morning, Allison. Good morning, Gracie. Um, good morning, Tiana. Don't feel bad if you have those emotions come up and out. Now, I would say don't direct it at someone that can harm you, right? And don't harm others physically. Try to go for a run, try to get out. But if emotions of frustration are showing up for you, if the feelings of anger and whatever might be coming up with, because you're dealing with people right now, okay? They're saying separate, but really, if you have a family and you're having to now deal with your family at this point, um, that there's going to be things that arise. Now, why? So let's get to the big why, because you know me, I like to talk about why this exists and how do we move forward to find ourselves back to love, because it's all love and God, right? It all circles back. But how do we circle back when it doesn't feel like we want to circle back? How do we circle back to love when we're like, oh no, I am not having it. Love is out the door and I'm just ready to maybe punch somebody in the face, okay? Because let me tell you, sometimes I get that way, okay? I'm human. Okay, so what do we do? And I'm going to laugh about it because I know I'm not going to do that. And to me, it's totally comical the way I behaved. It was very childish, and I get that. And I'm okay with admitting that, right? I'm going to take responsibility for everything I do. I'm not one of these people who acts like I'm perfect and flawless and oh God and Zen and oh holy. No, there are times that I become very human and my ego jumps in and it goes wild. Okay. Now, the thing that I understand is that I'm aware when the ego shows up. Okay. That is the big kicker. So, you're so wise and so real. Yeah, I am so real. I'm like, I have nothing to hide. And not only that, Suze, but I would never ask my people to do things that I would not do. I am not going to candy coat and pretend that I'm perfect because I am far from perfect. But I am working towards perfection, right? Which is towards God and love every single time. How do I get back to love and God? Okay. So when you want to punch somebody's face out, and you're going through this is what I want you to remember. What is happening? Why is this happening? Why did I, okay, jump out and why did my ego take over and why did I allow it to happen? There is programming, okay? I've discussed this before, okay? Is we are programmed a specific way. And the programming exists within the subconscious mind. We're programmed from when we were young, okay? And we're programmed. Now, these programs sort of play out, and sometimes subconsciously they play out in us. We don't even realize that they're doing this, right? So the program is starting to be reprogrammed. Right now, we're at a place where we can reprogram. And I told you this, we're going to drop new mustard seeds into the fertile ground, right? So what are we programming ourselves with? But we've got to release the old program in order to accept the new program. The old program are all of the things in the subconscious mind that we probably didn't deal with. There are tons of things we didn't deal with growing up. We don't even remember sometimes. They just stuck inside the program without us even knowing, but yet we're operating from those things that actually happened in the past and we don't even know it. And then we wonder why we see the same pattern show up in our life over and over and over again. Well, this is why. Okay. So, what do? Right now is the opportune time to allow ourselves to release those programs. Okay. Now is the time for us to let go of those programs. How? How do we release and let go of those programs? First of all, it's allowing it to surface and recognize that we have it. If we deny it and we act like it doesn't exist, we will never reprogram it because what we're doing is denying a part of ourselves that's there. Don't deny it. Sometimes we act like jerks. Okay. Part of the story. Okay. Everybody has acted like a jerk once in their life. Please raise your hand if you've acted like a jerk because I'm going to raise my hand high. Okay. I've been a jerk before. Okay. Sometimes I'm not people's cup of tea. Sometimes I could be a drill sergeant. Sometimes I could be very kind and compassionate. We're all of these things, right? Because we're human and that's part of the human experience. Nothing wrong with it. What we do with this information is what is important. How do we bring ourselves back to love? Number one, forgiveness, okay? I told you the secret sauce: forgiveness, gratitude, love. That's the three things that I do every single time I'm in these situations. That is the secret sauce. It's very simple. It's okay. It's simple in that it's three parts. It's not easy in when we have to practice. Practicing becomes a little bit harder. It takes practice, right? Good morning, loving God. Now, if you want to punch someone face out, I know it's true. Like we do sometimes want to punch people's face out, but I don't do it. I'll go punch a punching bag, you guys. I'm not going to harm somebody. Okay. That's one thing I won't do. I won't even kill a bug, even cockroaches, which gross me out. But still, I just kind of stomp my foot and hope it runs away and I can't see it, out of sight, out of mind. Okay. That's a kind of, but forgiveness. Okay. Step one. The forgiveness is not for just forgiveness for yourself. I mean, for the individual, but forgiveness for yourself for behaving like a jackwagon. And that's what I did yesterday. I said, Natalie, you're not being very nice. You're being a jackwagon. Stop it. I have to have these talks with myself. And then I apologized to the individuals that witnessed it because the whole neighborhood got to hear what was going on here. You guys would have thought that there was a family war going on. My sister and I could be very loud and very vocal and very cussy. Well, I don't typically cuss, but she ignited the cursing in me yesterday. And I went all out, full-fledged cussing. Now, typically not me. And my mom was here, and that was terrible, right? And my niece and everybody. So I was acting like a jackwagon. It's like, come on, Natalie, you can get through this. But no, there I was acting like a jackwagon. The whole neighborhood here heard. Okay, good morning, Rick. The whole neighborhood heard. So everybody's home now, right? And so they're like, "Are you guys okay?" Well, I live next to my uncle, so we live next to family and stuff like that. So it's kind of funny. And then I'm kind of laughing about it because I'm like, I know that I'm acting childish and foolish, okay? But to apologize, to forgive, to say, I'm sorry. Now, it's hard because most people want to hold on to it and be righteous and be like self-righteous, like and this is how I feel. And I'm like, you know what? No. How did I make that other person feel? How did I make my sister feel? Probably not good. I probably caused some trauma or harm in her. It doesn't matter what she caused in me because I know who I am enough to forgive my own self and know that what she was doing, forgive them for they know not what they do, that she didn't really mean it, right? She didn't really mean what she was saying. That she was allowing emotion to take over and allowing her ego to take over her. So what do? I forgive her. I forgive. And then I sat around the table and I'm going to tell you the process that I did so that you guys can understand that you guys too can do this process. Now it takes practice. Sat around the table, grabbed the hands of my mom and my niece and said a prayer. Okay. And I said, forgive me. And I said, God, I'm sorry. Like there's no, what's going on? I'm sorry. I apologize. Forgive me. Forgive me for, cursing and being acting like a jackwagon and da da da. Then I gave it some time and I apologized to my sister. Now, whether she responds to me or not is irrelevant. Whether she wants to forgive or not my problem. She either does or she doesn't. I can't force that upon her. I can't make her forgive me. I can't make her even ask for forgiveness for the way she behaved. All I can do is say my prayers, give my forgiveness, and move on with my life. Okay? Knowing that my intention is to bring it back to love and to God and to pray for the individual, pray for my sister, pray for myself, pray for my family, pray for the neighbors that probably heard it and their ears were burning from all the cussing that was going on. Okay. So there you go. Forgiveness. After that, gratitude and thankfulness, right, comes. When we learn to let go, we learn to forgive. There's this area of gratitude that shows up. The gratitude that shows up is like, I am so thankful, right? I'm thankful for my sister. I'm thankful for, right? So there you go. And then after that, love shows up and you remember that you are God again. You remember that you are love. You remember that you're just love in motion. And that whatever event happened that put you in that space was the ego igniting, was the program, whatever hurt you in the past, whatever triggered you to live in fear, because really that was a fear-based conversation, had nothing to do with love. There was no love in it at all. There was nothing but fear and craziness. That is not, I'm like, no, what am I doing? But I did it and I let it happen. And did I make myself completely wrong for it? No, but I forgave myself for it. I forgave myself. I said, Natalie, no, stop it, girlfriend. Girl, you cannot do this. This is not okay. But I'm simply telling you guys this because I'm not perfect. Because if I can share with you what's going on in my life and be completely 100% honest and authentic, that perhaps you guys can tap into your authenticity, and that when these things arise in your family, when these things arise during quarantine, when your loved one, your partner, your kids, your whatever start to frustrate you to the point that you want to just punch them in the face, because that's the feeling for me. I don't know what it is for you. Maybe yours is slap or whatever. You're not going to hurt them. You're not going to harm them. You're going to go and use that energy somewhere else. I went for like a 2 hour or an hour walk. Like, let me walk this off, right? And then when you release that, there's this opening for you to forgive. And when you forgive and you start to forgive yourself, then you could come back to the gratitude and the love. But that allows you the opening space. So sometimes we do go off the deep end. Is there anything wrong with you for doing that? No. My thing is, don't harm people. You don't have to physically harm people. Words are just as bad, yes. Now, the trick is to get better at this, right? To practice it. This is a perfect time to practice. Why? Because everybody's going to deal with something now. The longer they keep us in these houses, the more we're going to have to deal with individual people, our family, and people that we can't just say, go away, get rid of. We can't do it. There's nowhere to run. Okay. We shouldn't even want to run. We should want to be able to deal with these things in a healthy way. So I'm trying to sort of give you some ideas on how to deal with these things in a healthy way. Okay. Let's see what Jonathan said. Oh, sorry, Jonathan. Hold on. All concepts and ideas must be dropped. Commit suicide partially. This reprogramming or transformation is done by unlearning what you know, everything that you know. Simple but difficult. If you lash due to identifying with the given situation, out, accept it, and move on. Awareness, even if you feel guilty, be aware. Yeah, and it's dealing with the guilt. Like the guilt is the part where we hold on to and it doesn't serve us. So forgiveness is important. This is a very opportune time for us to learn how to forgive ourselves so that we're not living in regret. Forgive yourselves. If you act like a fool, forgive yourselves. And you're probably going to ask yourself, why am I like this? Okay? Why am I like this? What is this about? What is it about? What about? Good morning, Mary. Um, so dealing with that, right? And allowing those angers, those frustrations to come out. Now, when we talk about flattening the curve, right? Because they're talking about flattening, what are you talking about? Right now, I'm talking about a situation that happened in my life to support you with maybe how you deal with people in your life during this time of um, incubation, which I call it. I'm not calling it quarantine. I call it incubation because right now we are lotus flowers incubating. And we're really looking at it's an opportune time to look at the different things and emotions that are showing up for us and to deal with the old program and transform ourselves into a new program. What does that mean? That means, how do I let go of the old? How do I release the old? How do I get rid of the karmatic patterns? How do I get rid of my anger? Not get rid of it, but how do I deal with my anger, frustration? Because that's always going to exist in this realm. We're never going to get rid of it, but we will have the opportunity to learn how to deal with it, right? How to use it in a powerful way, how to transmute and transform the energy, how to release the energy properly. We don't know how to release it. No one's ever taught us how to release anger and frustration. They just tell us go stand in a corner and, I don't know, put your head to the wall. And then we go crazy because we don't know where to put it. Give it to the earth, give it to Mother Earth. If you're going to take a walk, stomp your feet on the earth. And guess what? Mother Earth will absorb it and take it. Mother Earth can handle that kind of energy and transform it into love, right? Look at all the other stuff she's handled. She'd rather handle our stuff than like going and putting a drilling inside of her. You can stomp your feet on the earth. You can put your feet in the ground and you can say, please take this energy. Put your hands to the sky and ask God to take it from you. Put your feet into the ground and say, please take this energy, oh Mother, oh Father. Take it. Help me release it so that I can live in harmony, peace, and tranquility. There are different practices that you can use. I told you I went for a long walk in the bosque. And then after I said, okay, I was a jackwagon and I said my apology. And, that's it. Whether I get something back or not, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Because really what that tells me is the person that's on the receiving end, if they can't forgive and if they can't let go, they're going through some very, very, very heavy times. And all I can do on that end is pray. Pray for them. That's it. Can't do anything else but pray. Can't change them. Can't make them different. All I can do is pray. So I hope that this story helps you guys. And I hope that me being a little bit real with my life and what's going on and the fact that I go batshit crazy sometimes and that, nice, right? This all started with that. That oh, sorry, drink my coffee wrong. Going a little bit cuckoo for Cocoa Pops. That you guys have those similarities, and we all do. So no need to pretend that you're perfect because you're not. Nobody is. I mean, we're perfectly perfect, of course, but we all have our hiccups, and it's okay. Now's the time to deal with those hiccups, okay? So Learn to engage your hiccups. Okay. And learn to forgive and go through the secret sauce. Remember the secret sauce: forgiveness, gratitude, love. Forgiveness, gratitude, love. That is the process. Okay. Simple process, hard to live into, right? Just like we say, Jonathan, it's an easy thing to say, not so easy in practice. However, if we continue to practice it, we will always find our way back to God. Always. We will always find our way back to God. Okay. And that's the point. Find your way back to love always, even in the most difficult situations. Okay. So I hope this helps. You guys go be with your people. If you guys are in harmony right now, amen to you. I place hands upon those who may have be experiencing frustration and anger and family feuds or whatever's going on, that I release those chains of suffering, that God come in and put their hands upon those families that may be dealing with a lot of suffering and pain and all of the things that are uncomfortable, and that God heals them from that. Okay. That's where I put my hands today. And that's where I ask that God puts their hands on these families, and that we start to recognize that we are all love, and that we, even though we are not the same, we can learn to have gratitude and appreciate one another for our unique skills and what we have to offer the world. And remember that God is within every individual. When we don't want to see it, it just is. We are all one. We're not separate. Okay. And I ask that God come in and place their hands upon all families in the entire world, every household, and that we release these programs that are not serving our household and our families, and that we insert the love and the kindness and the compassion and the understanding, so that we can operate and function as a family unit like we used to in the past. Because right now we don't function as a family unit. We're so disconnected, and that we unite. Okay. So that is my thing. How you learn to forgive, because it is not easy. Well, I'm just going to say this before I let you go. Self forgiveness, it starts with forgiving yourself. And you may be like, what? Yeah. Forgiveness is not about forgiving the outside world. Loving yourself and forgiving yourself happens first. So you have to learn to forgive the parts of yourself that you don't like. Forgive yourself for being mean to yourself. Forgive yourself for saying you're ugly, you're stupid, or whatever words come up to your head that are not kind to you. When you learn to forgive yourself for those things, and you learn to transmute it into love and have gratitude for the fact that you even have a body, that you even have eyes and ears, that you can walk, that you have whatever it is that you have. Some people can't walk, but for whatever it is that you have, that God's given you this gift of a body. And if you can learn to forgive yourself for beating it up, for saying mean things to it, for allowing people or giving up your power, when you learn to forgive yourself, then you can learn to forgive others. It starts with self love and gratitude. Always internal, okay? Starts within, as within, so without. Starts with you, always. This is not about forgiving the outside world, it's about forgiving yourself. And then when you forgive yourself, then you are able to ask for forgiveness from others. Okay. So forgive yourself for being a jackwagon. That's what I'm doing. I was a jackwagon yesterday. So I forgive myself. I have to forgive myself for being a jerk, and recognize that that wasn't truly God or me, but instead I allowed the ego to take over, and forgive myself for letting that happen. I'm not going to hold on to it and make myself wrong for it over and beat myself up over and over and over again for it. But once I forgive myself and let it go and say the prayers that I need to, and ask God to guide me through it, and say, God, please, and even reach to God and say, help me get through this. Why am I behaving like such a jerk? Just put love in my heart for this person, for myself. And then I ask for forgiveness from that individual. Okay. So I hope that helps. I love your jackwagon expression. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Suze. I certainly was being a jackwagon. So, I place those hands upon you. I'll also be doing a meditation on Saturday at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. It's Kadosh, 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 Adonai Sabaoth, which is holy, holy, host of all hosts, or I always forget it. I'll write the English version, but it's the holy, holy, holy is the Lord of all hosts. That's what it means. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of all hosts. Okay, so we're going to be doing that one, and I love that one. It's beautiful. Okay, so this is advice my mom gave me. Okay, what did grandma say, Auntie Christine? I'll wait a little bit to see if I can read what my grandma said. I love my grandma. I wished I would have known her. It's like I know her, but I don't. It's like I know she lives inside me. I can feel it, I can feel parts of her in me. And I didn't even know the woman. But through her children, I know her because my Auntie Christine, Auntie Diane, my dad, Uncle John, my Uncle Daniel, all of you guys. But I know my grandma, like through my dad's stories of her and stuff like that. But she was always from my understanding, very wise woman, very super wise woman. I don't know why it's not coming up. What advice grandma gave you? It's probably taking a while. I'll read it after. Certainly, there's a glitch or a lag time in Facebook with the messages people send to me. So I do apologize. If I don't read your messages, because I'm not seeing them. I read everybody's messages. I say good morning to everybody. So if I don't say good morning to Savannah, I didn't say good morning to you. And Eureka, I didn't say good morning to you, but I typically will say good morning to everybody if I see them on here. So if I don't, please say good morning so I know you're here. Okay, I don't know why it didn't show up, Auntie Christine, what grandma would say, but I appreciate that. Everything you're talking about. Oh, good. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I think grandma lives in me. Well, I know she does, and I feel her, and I wished I would have known her. Um, Although my dad said she would have she was more serious than me. I think I'm more jokey with than my grandma. Mabel was from my understanding, my grandmother was a very serious person, very straight to the point. Um, and me, I'm a little bit more jokey and play around a little bit more, but still the part of me that I think I got from her was the connection to the Holy Spirit, connection to God, connection to love. I'm speaking from America, and I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Um, and New Mexico is the land of the aliens. So I'm an alien. Yay. We have Roswell here, the big crash of Roswell. Awesome. So I love you guys. Have a great day. And I will be seeing you guys tomorrow. It's Friday tomorrow, and then Saturday we do our 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time meditation. I believe on the other side of the world, it'll be early morning. So if you want to join in on the morning meditation, it'll be morning for you guys. Not 100% sure what time it'll be on that side of the world. But I love you guys so much. Have a great day. Let's just continue to connect with our people the best that we can during this time. And I will continue to be here for you as much as I possibly can. Okay. Have some infographics coming out on how to realign yourself during this time. And that infographic will come out soon for Spirit and Coffee. You can also follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on Facebook, and working on the collaboration, getting the website up. Just want you to know that my niece Deja is the one who's doing the Instagram page. So she's the one putting out all these messages of love. I put some every once in a while, but really it's her who's taking on the Instagram page and putting these beautiful quotes of love and kindness. So that's not coming from me. It's coming from her, just so you guys know. And she's doing such an excellent job. So I just want to give her a shout out today. Okay. So I love you guys. Have a great day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.